Holly Duckworth here, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique Practitioner Level 3. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of meditation. I would bet probably 95% of the QHHT sessions that I facilitate, the higher self is telling the client to please practice meditation. It seems to be so important. It seems to be important from the higher self perspective for physical health, for emotional health, for mental health. It seems to be really important, an important way not only to get out of that fight or flight, to get out of that human zone of fear, but also to then help us connect to the higher self on a daily basis, which then helps them help us on a daily basis, the higher self, help them help us. So it's super important. Almost every day I have the higher self, the subconscious, telling a client, please start meditating and please start meditating daily. So it seems to be really, really important. Couple of things to think about though is how do we meditate? Is there a right way? Is there a wrong way? People go to meditation classes, they study meditation. What's the right way of meditating? And then the other thing to understand is really, well, what are the outcomes? So what should I expect when I start meditating? So let's talk about how to meditate. There seems to be, again, from the higher self perspective and information coming through QHHT sessions, that there's really only one wrong way to meditate. It really doesn't matter how you meditate, as long as you're not thinking. The minute we have our thinking mind, our analytic mind, that little hamster wheel going, thinking in our mind, that's really the only way we can watch meditation. Other than that, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you chant or you don't chant. It doesn't matter if you sit cross-legged on the floor or if you're laying comfortably on the bed. It doesn't matter if you're practicing some sort of religious technique. It doesn't matter if you call it prayer or if you call it meditation. What matters is that you spend time alone, quietly, usually with your eyes closed so that you're getting out all that extrasensory information. Again, you're trying not to think. And all we have to do is just clear our mind from thinking. It sounds easy, but it's really, really hard to do. And when you first start, maybe it's only 5 minutes, maybe it's only 10 minutes. And maybe you can only not think for 3 seconds of that 10 minutes. The point is that it takes practice. It's just like any other exercise. You know, if you're running, jogging, you're not going to be able to jog 10 miles on your first jog, right? You're going to only be able to run a little ways, and then the next time run a little way further, and then the next time run a little way further. And pretty soon 10 miles is like easy. But you have to start just a little bit at a time and build up to it. And meditation's the same way. Just spend a little bit of time, again, quietly, alone, and the goal, the point here is to practice not thinking, clearing your mind of all thinking. That means thinking about sounds, that means thinking about the future, that means thinking about the past, that means thinking about your to-do list, that means even analyzing what you're thinking. And so you might be able to only hold that non-thinking way for just a few seconds at a time, and that's okay. The higher self in these QHHT sessions has also emphasized daily meditation. And so it is something that we practice every day, just a little bit. You don't have to go in for 2 hours. Again, you don't start with a 10-mile run. It might only be 5 minutes. It might only be 10 minutes. But practicing a little bit every day helps us get out of that thinking mind. So that brings us to, well, what's the point? What's the outcome here? Why is it so important to get into that meditative state and get out of that thinking mind? What's really going on here? And there's a couple of things. Of course, the higher self voice in you is very, very subtle. So we have to be very, very quiet to hear it. Our free will is so powerful and so strong. And frankly, our society and the way we live allows that ego mind, that small mind, to be especially strong, and the higher self part of us to be especially subtle. And so it's only in those very, very quiet moments can the higher self even get through to us with information, messages, insight that they would like to share with us. So that's one of the outcomes. You get to connect with your higher self on a regular basis and be able to hear those subtle messages. The other outcome is we get out of this cycle of fear. So many of us live so much of our lives in a state of fear. And a lot of times we don't even recognize that we're in a state of fear, but we're kind of in a perpetual state of fear, and it seems normal. And so when we get out of that thinking mind, when we're in a situation of non-thinking, then we get out of fear. And then we can tap into love. When we're not in fear, we can be in a state of love. And so over time then, meditating helps us tap into that state of love. And pretty soon, again, just like how easy is 10 miles for a marathon runner, we begin to just live in a state of love, and we begin to recognize when we're in a state of fear, and we begin to be able to shift ourselves out of that state of fear. So huge outcomes, just a little bit, just a few minutes every day, just like exercise, just a little bit of discipline, sitting quietly with our eyes closed and practicing not thinking at all. Sounds easy, it's not. You might be able to just do it for a few seconds at first, and that's okay. And then once we practice that, not only do we get to hear insight from the higher self, but then we also get to live in a state of love. Hoping to help and hoping to share what comes through our QHHT sessions. Thank you for listening.